Hi, this is Steve Stewart from MoneyPlanSOS.com. Teaching financial literacy is one of my favorite things to do. So when GoBankingRates.com asked me to be part of their financial literacy tag series, I of course had to say yes. Now they had asked me for some kind of a personal story or something like that. I don't really have one, but I do want to talk about what gets me most excited about getting my personal finances in order so that I can save for my future. And that's compound interest. You see, a very smart man once said that compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. And I think that's true. And I want to show you how that works. So follow along with me as I teach you how compound interest works. Now I'm going to use some round numbers to make it pretty easy so we can follow along. So just watch and follow along here as well. Let's say you take $100 and you put it into an investment. And this investment is going to average, we're going to leave it in there for a long time, we're going to average a 12% annual return. That's about 1% a month. So you put this $100 into this account, there's $100 sitting there, it grows 12% annually, which is 1% that month, so it's going to grow $1. 1% of $100 is $1. So now in that account you have $101. In the second month you add an additional $100 to the account. So now in that account you have $201. You let it sit, you let it grows another 1%. It doesn't just grow one more dollar, because now you have $201 growing at 1%, you now grow an additional $2.01, making your new total $203.01. That first dollar that you grew in the first month grew another penny. That's compound interest. So in the third month, again, you put $100 in there, your balance became $303.01. Now it's going to grow that 1%, growing another $3.03, making your new total $306.04. By the end of the first year, you'll have $1,280.93. That's growing 1% a month, 12% annually. That's $80.93 in compound growth. So by the end of year 10, get this, you've only invested $100 a month, 12% annual return. That means $12,000. $100 a month for 12 years is $12,000 you've invested, and it's grown to $23,233.91. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Compound interest. The little money that you grow grows more little money, and it compounds, it grows, it keeps growing more and more. By the end of 20 years, get this, if just put this $100 a month into this account, growing 12% annually, over 20 years becomes $99,914. And after 40 years, it's over $1 million. That's only $100 a month for 40 years, 12% annual growth. Pretty fantastic. Now, a lot of people argue that you can't get 12%. Well, maybe not in the last couple of years. But it has happened in the S&P 500 and a few other things like that over many, many years, as long as you don't pull it out too soon. We won't talk about that today, but I do want to talk to you about how you can save yourself even more than 12%. A 2011 study showed that almost half the households surveyed reported they could probably not or could not come up with the funds to deal with a $2,000 financial shock. Financial shock is a politically correct way of saying emergency. So they could not come up with $2,000 for an emergency within 30 days. So let's say you're one of the half the households that said you couldn't come up with $2,000, but you do have a credit card for emergencies. So what happens? The emergency happens, you swipe your card, now you have a balance of $2,000, but you couldn't get $2,000 together, otherwise you'd pay for the emergency. So after 30 days, what's going to happen? You're going to be charged interest. Now it looks like the average right now for credit cards is about 12.99%. We'll use that for example. So if you don't pay off the balance in 30 days, you're going to be charged $21.65 in interest. Now let's say you can't make any headway on this debt. You're going to just continue to pay what you charge on it, but you can't pay any more, and so you never touch this original $2,000 balance that you put on the credit card for the emergency. Well, by month number 6, your balance will be $2,133. That's $133 in interest that is accruing. And by the first year, you're going to owe $2,275. That $275 is compounding against you. That's how compound interest works, against you. And by the second year, you're going to owe $589 in interest if you never pay off the debt. So that's how compound interest works. You can either have it working for you in investments or working against you with debt. That's what made my wife and I realize that we need to get our finances in order so that we could stop having compound interest work against us and actually have it working for us. We started paying attention, not interest. Now it's time for me to tag the person who's going to do the next video in the series. GoBankingRates.com has asked me to tag you the viewer.